Your unique story, our global audience. Global One Media.
Welcome to Global One Media's exclusive one-on-one interview series with company executives. I'm your host, Ashley Berry, and today we're very excited that Pat Duffy, co-founder of The Giving Block, is with us. The Giving Block makes Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency fundraising easy by empowering mission-driven organizations, charities, universities, and faith-based organizations to leverage crypto technology to achieve their missions. Pat, it is a true pleasure to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
So, Pat, let's dive deeper into the crypto donation model and how it differentiates from the current traditional donation model. Does it actually bring more transparency and efficiency to philanthropy?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different. I'd say the main way that it varies is actually around the way that donors give and their incentives to give, and then the way that nonprofits fundraise. So definitely crypto itself can lead to more transparency. If the nonprofits accept and report on it directly, they can show actual transactions going from place to place because of the blockchain technology behind it. But the bigger thing that nonprofits are dealing with is they haven't communicated to their donors previously that tax efficient asset-based donations are an option for them. So historically with stocks, people have dumped those into DAFs, donor advised funds, and not given these gifts directly to nonprofits. Nonprofits haven't made these options available to their donors. So their biggest gifts, their biggest donors have been sending them donations totally outside of their fundraising ecosystem. Crypto kind of broke that mold. So with crypto, they were communicating to young donors for the first time, giving them an asset donation directly to them, and then incorporating into their fundraising. Crypto QR codes at galas, asking for crypto on social media campaigns, breaking out a crypto-specific goal around a fundraiser, making space for crypto users and actively marketing it to existing donors and net new donors. That's the big difference. And now that's kind of bleeding back into stocks just because stocks and crypto have the same tax incentive, which is that you don't pay taxes if you're in the US on the assets that you donate to a charity. So it's much more efficient than giving something like cash, and young donors up till now didn't know about it.
But it's increasingly more popular. It kind of sounds like it means that the beneficiaries end up receiving more benefits. Is that kind of aligned with how this works?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that crypto is so cutting edge and it's sort of making it mainstream for the first time with stocks kind of didn't, but you're exactly right. It's kind of as silly to not donate assets as it is to spend assets on like for-profit goods. Like if you go into a grocery store and you were like buying your groceries with stocks and just triggering taxable events. Younger donors for the most part just like aren't working with advisors. So they've just been giving cash, credit card, et cetera, to nonprofits when they have these assets, stocks on a Robinhood account, crypto on a Coinbase account. And they haven't known that you can give this to a charity, get the same write-off, charity gets the same donation, but you just erase the capital gains tax burden. It's super efficient. So from a donor standpoint, anytime you can give an appreciated asset, you can make the exact same contribution, but with greater tax incentives. And then from the nonprofit side of things, you're exactly right. It's just another revenue stream that otherwise didn't exist because nonprofits just haven't been asking for it.
So I'm very curious, what got you so excited in this company and to begin this mission, this journey yourself? And maybe you can inspire and empower others to join this crusade.
Yeah. So I got lucky, just like a lot of founders do. So I met my co-founder, Alex Wilson, who was a crypto trader. I had just listened to a podcast and how crypto wasn't backed by anything. I was talking all my friends out of investing in it. But I was working at a nonprofit at the time when he got me into trading crypto, just read the Bitcoin white paper, thought the technology was cool, worth investing in. As we saw, tens of millions, now hundreds of millions of people invest in this stuff. We saw some people giving it to charity, but it was still pretty far and few between. So we, in 2018, started taking interviews with nonprofits. We would just book these meetings, just put on a suit and sit in a conference room. And we're like, okay, you take crypto. How do you take it? Does the tool work? How are you fundraising it? And we found out a couple of things. One, the tools weren't built for nonprofits. They weren't automatically generating receipts, tax documentation, just things that crypto users expected, nonprofits expected. So we started working on the tools. But the bigger thing is they weren't fundraising it. So we met, charities like Save the Children with 3 million followers on Twitter. We were like, how much crypto have you raised? And it was like, nothing. It's like, when did you start taking it? It was like 5 years ago. It's like, well, why aren't you getting it? How are you marketing it? And they were like, it's a donation method. We don't market. They were just like adding it as an option in their checkout flow. We were like, oh, interesting. Nonprofits aren't telling any donors this is an option for them. And we found out the same was true for stocks. We do crypto and stocks now. that was the big discovery for us. Nonprofits didn't just need a tool for accepting it. We met with a couple dozen nonprofits who had donate crypto acceptance options, and they were just collecting dust and cobwebs. So we went to these nonprofits and we found ways to market it on Twitter, tell the story to their donors, add snippets into their emails, their capital campaigns, just kind of basic stuff that we fine-tuned over time. And what we found out is a lot of their existing donors had crypto and now stocks, and a lot of net new donors on the internet. It was a really good reason to meet a charity for the first time.
Yeah, it really sounds like you kind of opened up the aperture for these companies and really helped them make a difference. Let's talk a little bit about some top roadblocks facing the evolution of crypto donations.
Yeah, on the donor side, it's tax literacy, kind of plain and simple. It's especially bad in crypto in that there's like this HODL culture, diamond hands, laser eyes, like just don't ever let go of your crypto. It's kind of a big part of what it looks like to be in crypto to begin with. So these people are like really trained to never lose crypto. Like you're always trying to stack sats and like move cash into crypto, build your portfolio size. So if you're not working with advisors, like donors, a lot of the time, especially younger donors, don't understand that you can actually like grow your portfolio more efficiently by donating crypto instead of cash. It's this tax arbitrage move that we usually need a whiteboard for, but if you're giving $1 million, for instance, you can give that to the charity using your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, et cetera. Take the $1 million you have in the bank and buy back your crypto position. You end up with the same $1 million in crypto. Charity gets the $1 million gift. You get the $1 million write-off, but the $1 million you have in crypto now is at today's cost basis. So you just erase 200 grand in capital gains tax or whatever it is based on your original cost basis. It's not exactly a bumper sticker. So that's the biggest issue on the donor side. Like a lot of young donors in particular just don't know giving assets is so much more tax efficient. And then on the nonprofit side, there's two roadblocks. One is they're kind of afraid of crypto. They confuse accepting it with investing in it. So we have to do a lot of education on like, so long as hundreds of millions of people invest this way, you might as well accept their donations. When the way that we do it for charities, it automatically liquidates to US dollars. So you're not investing, you're not dealing with volatility, you're not facing the turbulence of it. You're just accepting a gift based on how other people are choosing to invest. And then for the nonprofits accepting it, there are a lot of orgs who, again, in the early days, set up these donate crypto buttons that never got gifts. So they're convinced their donors don't have crypto. It's not worth trying to fundraise. That's kind of the other scary thing. These nonprofits who have these passive acceptance solutions that they never tell anyone about. And they're like, oh, I guess nobody has this stuff. So the lack of marketing is one of the biggest roadblocks too.
Right, because it is such a hot phenomenon, but I do feel like it's still relatively new, even though it's not, but it is. And like you're talking about the marketing component. So maybe you could help educate the audience about what kinds of nonprofits actually accept crypto donations. Yeah,
it's a lot more than people think. So like if you add the annual budgets of the clients that we serve as the giving block, because we have like 150 nonprofits now who have $100 million plus budgets, it's like tens of billions of dollars. It's a huge chunk of the nonprofit sector, is these big nonprofits that are now part of our ecosystem. So I think it's like the Forbes is the Fortune top 100 nonprofits, whatever that main list is that orgs use. We're at about 50-50 of those orgs are already taking crypto. It's already almost like the majority of nonprofits. It will be, I'm sure, in the next few months. And like 80% of those are on our platform, Fundraising Crypto. So for big blue chip nonprofits, you think like PETA, Save the Children, United Way, St. Jude, like these big name brands, they're all taking crypto. They've been doing it for years. It's very mainstream with the big orgs with resources. For small and mid-sized nonprofits, like we have thousands of orgs that we serve now across crypto and stocks. It's less common statistically, but the cutting edge nonprofits for sure who are on the smaller side are making these investments, growing their budgets as well. So a lot of it has to do with like, do nonprofits have the resources to expand into innovative areas? And then for smaller nonprofits, it's a matter of kind of like, is this as big of a priority as, say, better mobile optimizing your site? So just making the list of priorities and making sure it's up the ladder.
Terrific. And finally, Pat, why should someone who's financially savvy donate crypto and stocks instead of cash?
Yeah, it's this tax arbitrage move. So in short, you're sending the same amount of money to a nonprofit. And then you have two options after you do it, after you donate crypto or stocks, like any asset to a charity. You can either give the asset to the charity because you want to exit that position, like you would be otherwise selling. You have some gains, you're trying to close out a position, make that donation instead, and you just don't have to pay tax on it. You just save on the taxes. That alone is great, because in any other world, if you gave the $1 million you had in the bank and you tried to cash that Bitcoin out later, you have to pay the tax man, a couple $100,000 or whatever it might be.
Right.
And then the second reason is this arbitrage move, where you can not only donate that crypto, that stock, to a nonprofit, but you can take the cash you were going to donate and you can repurchase that position. So you can actually donate assets without reducing your exposure to a market. In short, you can, if you're giving, again, $1 million, just if you're going to give the $1 million in the bank because you don't want to lose Bitcoin, quote unquote,
right,
you give the Bitcoin, you take the $1 million, you buy Bitcoin today at today's cost basis. You have the exact same portfolio size. But when you sell this Bitcoin, the $200,000 in cap gains tax that was baked into your donation asset, that's gone. That's erased because your cost basis has been moved up. Again, it's not a bumper sticker, but anyone who has any appreciated asset at any point in time in the US, it is more tax efficient to give that to the charity than to give dollars. Anytime you're giving dollars, you're just kind of throwing a little bit of money away.
Well, clearly you've been very successful in your journey. Any final words of wisdom for our audience that you could maybe lend any expertise or anything like that as they're making decisions or trying to determine if this is right for them?
Yeah, I think, I guess for nonprofits, if you're good at fundraising and good at the internet in like a fundamental sense, it's at the point where you should be taking crypto, you should be taking stocks, you should be actively soliciting it from your audience. It's just like, there's not downside to it. It's so simple now at this point. It's been intermediated by companies like us where you can just pop these tools up and start marketing it. It's just exploring that opportunity is important. It's not worth leaving the opportunity landscape on the table. We're way past the point of adoption. We added 1,000 nonprofits to our platform last year. We added 1,000 nonprofits the year before.
Wow.
Like, it's very mainstream and scaled up a lot. And then for crypto users and, stock investors, anyone who has assets, please read about it a little bit. Because again, it's not a bumper sticker, but it's so silly. Again, it would be like if my family, every time they went to the grocery store, was just like selling their stocks to buy eggs and just like losing exposure and paying taxes for no reason. It's like, why are you doing this? So many young donors in particular who haven't been on Fidelity and Schwab, where you have somebody calling you once a week to like give you tax moves. You're doing your accounting on TurboTax. They're not advising you. There's so many people under the age of 35 who just don't give assets. And then older folks are, giving tens of billions of dollars this way because they have somebody in their ear. So like, I just say for anyone with crypto and stocks, like, please just read about it. It's not always the thing you want to give at any point in time, but generally speaking, if you have appreciated assets, it's just a way to give more money to charity while saving money on taxes. And you should probably be aware of it.
Terrific. Great advice. Love the analogy about the grocery store and the eggs. Pat Duffy, co-founder of The Giving Block. Thank you for your time, for sharing these exciting updates. And we, of course, look forward to sharing more with our audience.